Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Martin O'Neill. At the Monroe County Commissioners meeting on March 1st, Health Department Director Laurie Kelly gave an update on COVID-19 and flu transmission in the county.
Monroe County COVID-19 community level remains low, but transmission is noted as being in the high level. There are 7 Indiana counties in the medium level and 4 in the high level. COVID concentrations in wastewater have taken a sharp decline as of February 25th. Flu levels remain at minimal levels. As of February 24th, there have been 0 influenza-associated deaths statewide.
Commissioner Penny Githens congratulated the Health Department staff for their work searching for grant funding to fight opioid issues in the county.
Well, I have something. I want to give a huge shout out and big thank you to Ms. Kelly and to specifically Kathy Hewitt and Melanie Verschlag on her staff. They worked tirelessly to put in a big grant proposal to the state, which has made up to $25 million available for fighting opioid issues among all the counties and communities throughout Indiana. This is a competitive grant. We worked very, very hard. We worked collaboratively with Centerstone, with the Indiana Recovery Alliance. I'm going to thank the city of Bloomington for pledging some support money, as well as Cook Group. So this is also, the county has pledged money pending the award of the grant and approval of the county council, but the plan is to use some of the opioid settlement money that has been made available to us. But none of this would have been possible without the effort of Ms. Kelly's staff. And some of these things are very, very innovative, things I had never even heard of before. But for example, purchasing a machine that's able to it's a spectrometer that's able to detect whether or not fentanyl or other drugs are in illicit drugs that are street drugs, and it takes just like 1/100th or 1,000th of a gram to test whether or not such substances are present. Looking at kiosks for drug take back, again for harm reduction, and just some things that'll be visible and available to everybody in our community. So I think that this is really a step forward, and I'm very, very excited about it. We should be notified May 1st whether or not we will get the money. It's being determined on a sort of a line-by-line basis in terms of these different kind of projects that we asked for, but I'm very optimistic. I think it was very well done, and so thank you.
Next, Highway Department Director Lisa Ridge shared that they are starting construction on the Bicentennial Pathway project this week.
We are starting the Bicentennial Pathway project this week, construction. As of today, we will be putting door hangers on every resident that is affected out there to begin the project. It'll be on our website for an email that you can sign up for project status updates. You can issue complaints, concerns that you have for this project. But we want to be as transparent and let everyone know the process and how we go forward through the construction season for 2023 for this project. The project actually runs from Audubon Drive to past Fire Station Hill on Old State Road 37 North.
The commissioners then voted on a contract with Susan Brackney for communication services. County Attorney Jeff Cockrell explained what services the contract would entail.
Yes, this is an agreement to help organize your communications, and in the contract in the packet is blank as to the dollar amount. We wanted to determine exactly what the county council had appropriated for this, and $25,000 fits within that number. This contract will run till the end of the year.
Monroe County Council member Marty Hawk asked what the purpose of the contract was. Cockrell responded.
Could you describe to the public what this contract will actually do, what the work is to be? Could you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, this is particularly, I mean, these are the general, and clearly if something comes up that falls within these scopes, so it's not limited to this, but identifying and prioritizing opportunities for meaningful media and public outreach, creating original content, both digital and print, writing and design, outreach to traditional and non-traditional media outlets, developing and disseminating a direct-to-public messaging, media relations trainings for the commissioners, crisis management, and creating best practice operational documents for these kind of communications.
Commissioners Administrator Angela Purdy added that the position was in the budget that the Monroe County Council had approved. The commissioners unanimously approved the contract. And we'll have more from CATSweek right after this.
Do you know that thousands of children go without school supplies every day? Teachers Warehouse is a 100% volunteer-powered organization. We service the educational and creative needs of students in Monroe, Brown, Greene, Lawrence, and Owen counties by distributing school supplies free to the teachers. Teachers Warehouse is composed of 7 rooms filled with books, pencils, paper, and even tools to motivate students. If it's in a classroom, we'll supply it. To donate new or gently used school supplies or volunteer, give us a call at 812-929-7522 or email us at contact@teacherswarehouse.net.
Welcome back to CATSweek. On March 1st, at the Bloomington City Council Committee of the Whole, Deputy Mayor Mary Catherine Carmichael summarized the mayor's progress in creating a nonprofit organization, a CBCI, to help the city in implementing special works projects.
After months of research, outreach, and discussion with various experts, the City of Bloomington has determined that a new nonprofit 501c3 organization offers the best option to assist the city with special work beyond the scope of its core missions to advance this unprecedented level of project activity. The preliminary steps needed to create a 501c3 nonprofit have been taken and outlined in a memo shared with City Council and the community on January 12th. On Friday, March 3rd, that's this coming Friday, 4 community members will be appointed to the City of Bloomington Capital Improvements, Inc., or it'll be known as CBCI going forward. Mayor John Hamilton has identified Mick Reniason, Sarah Bowerly-Dansman, John West, and Valerie Pena to be the first 4 members to serve on the CBCI. Under the draft bylaws of the CBCI, the Bloomington City Council is identified to appoint a 5th member. The organizational meeting of the CBCI will be held in the McCloskey Room. Again, that's on March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Here in City Hall at 401 North Morton Street. There will be a Zoom option for public attendance. That link is available online, by the way, as we always put the Zoom links with our meeting announcements. Pardon me. The meeting will begin with Incorporator and City Controller Jeff Underwood appointing the directors, and then the directors will discuss and adopt the bylaws. The CBCI will potentially oversee major projects that involve city ownership of land and structures, but not core city services or functions. And the CBCI's initial focus will be on Hopewell in the immediate future. Thank you.
Councilmember Isabel Piedmont Smith asked Deputy Mayor Carmichael about how the CBCI would be financed.
What are the funding sources for the, I always get the acronym wrong.
CBCI. CBCI. Thank you, Councilmember Piedmont Smith, for that question. The funding sources will be the RDC and money from the City of Bloomington. So you will be asked, you'll have a great deal of influence on the work of the CBCI. You'll have to approve funding through appropriations for the work, just as you do now for city employees through the budget and for contractors.
And the Redevelopment Commission, the RDC, gets most of their money through TIF revenues, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Piedmont Smith asked Carmichael when the amount of spending by the CBCI would require approval by the council.
Follow up on this same line. It's my understanding that the City Council has to approve expenditures over $5 million from the RDC. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
The council then moved into a report from the Committee of Council Processes, regarding the removal of Greg Alexander from Bloomington's Traffic Commission. Councilmember Matt Flaherty delivered the findings of the committee, the first being the withdrawal of the resolution to remove Alexander. Instead, the Commission suggested that he should be given time to respond.
So our work on the committee, we sought to apply relevant legal guidance to that question and ensure that any removal, if pursued by the council, is done lawfully. So in doing so, the committee reached several recommendations that are outlined in the third section of this report, and I'll go through those now. 3.1, substantive due process considerations. First, the committee recommends that the motion for removal on the table be withdrawn. The committee reached this conclusion because it believes the motion does not adequately describe the conduct, statements, and/or omissions that are the basis of the proposed removal. This raises concerns with respect to fairness and substantive due process. So to address these concerns, the committee recommends that a motion for removal that a new motion for removal should be narrow, specific, and sufficiently clear that council members, members of the public, and Mr. Alexander fully understand the specific conduct, statements, and/or omissions that have led to the proposed removal. 3.2, procedural due process considerations. The committee also recommends that Mr. Alexander be given written notice of his proposed removal and allowed 5 business days to respond in writing to the specific allegations and proposed basis for removal. This recommendation parallels procedural requirements from Bloomington Municipal Code for removals for absenteeism and should provide sufficient procedural due process. Similarly, if the council votes in favor of Mr. Alexander's removal, he should be notified in writing about the removal and the council's reasoning. 3.3, cause for removal. Based on legal precedent and advice from council attorneys, the committee also recommends that a council member making a motion for removal not only clarify what specific statements or conduct are the basis, but also clarify or demonstrate with evidence, if available, how the named conduct has diminished Mr. Alexander's ability or fitness to perform his duties on the Traffic Commission. This will help ensure the council is following the appropriate legal standard with respect to what constitutes sufficient cause for removal. With respect to 3.4, free speech concerns, if Mr. Alexander is removed from his appointment, depending on the statement cited as the basis for the removal, he may be able to challenge it based on free speech protections under the First Amendment. Such a claim would be analyzed using the Pickering test, which is covered earlier in the report. Council attorneys assessed possible First Amendment claims with respect to many of Mr. Alexander's statements brought into question in recent weeks and provided legal advice to the council on which statements should probably not be considered a basis for removal. Additionally, in assessing these statements, council attorneys advised that most likely none of the statements in question to date amount to obscenity, fighting words, or true threats, as those terms are legally defined. If statements did meet those legal definitions, they would constitute unprotected speech.
Councilmember Stephen Volan said that he thinks they need to take their time to establish the process in which someone is removed from a board or a commission.
You know, I find it difficult to accept this, what I consider to be a reactionary motion, that there are better ways to handle this, as I've been saying consistently. This process, you cannot have a process that's due if it's made up on the fly. Like we're scrambling because we have this unprecedented situation that deserves to me, a due process is one that was considered soberly outside of the of any given case. And here we are being asked to consider a case. Mr. Rollo rightly recused himself from the consideration of the initial motion because he made it, even though he's sitting on the committee, the special committee on council processes. I want to suggest that that is the direction forward here.
The council withdrew their resolution to remove Alexander. However, a new resolution will potentially be considered at a future meeting. Next, the council considered a resolution to authorize the renewal of outdoor dining program in the downtown corridor. Special Projects Manager Chaz Mottinger shared that they collaborated with Bloomington Engineering to address Trinity Episcopalian Church's concern about the outdoor seating blocking off access to their building.
We believe with the new ADA space being put in by April 1st, and we've been guaranteed by the Director of Public Works that that space will happen by April 1st, and the program would, to remind you, start on April 3rd. So before the program starts, there would be an extra space. We're also looking into engineering's plan for even more additional ADA spaces throughout Kirkwood as a whole. So hopefully that can happen this year as well. And we're also looking into maybe not a drop-off pickup zone, but perhaps like limited 2-hour parking, though we're not sure about the feasibility of that. But with the additional space in Grant Street being open again, because it had construction last year, we believe that there would be more convenience and relief for the parishioners. And especially since we want to point out the true ADA entrance is on Grant Street. So it is not the ramp on Kirkwood, it is on Grant Street. We've talked to the church, and they wrote us a nice letter, which we sent to you, and we have a letter of support from them saying that they believe that this would be a good compromise, and they also agreed. So that we're really glad that we came to a solution.
The council voted to renew the expanded outdoor dining program. On February 28th, at the Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting, Engineering Department Senior Project Manager Roy Ayton asked the board to approve a change order for the 7th Street Protected Bike Lane project.
This project was awarded on May 11, 2021 to Milestone Contractors in the amount of $2,572,455. The project constructed a protected bike lane along 7th Street from the Beeline Trail to Woodlawn Avenue. There have been a total of 8 change orders preceding this one for a final authorized contract amount of $2,662,250.65. This final change order will balance the final quantities of the project and result in a deduct of $192,095.69 for a final contract amount of $2,470,154.96. And this project was funded through our Bicentennial Bond 2018 series.
He also asked them to approve change orders for the 17th Street Multi-Use Path East project.
This project was awarded Milestone Contractors on April 12, 2022 in the amount of $1,192,901.58. This project installed a multi-use path on the north side of 17th Street from Walnut Avenue to Grant Street. Change order number 1 this evening will add $25,453, and this was for additional work at the Red Restaurant, the corner of 17th and Walnut. Change order 2 will also add $2,054.28, and this was for some additional curb work that we'd asked the contractor to do at the intersection of 17th and Grant. Pending approval of these change orders and funding approval through the Redevelopment Commission, the final contract price will be $1,220,408.86.
The board approved both of the change orders unanimously. Next, project engineer Patrick Durkis asked the board to approve a resolution for the public need to purchase right-of-way for the Adams Street sidewalk project.
The Adams Street sidewalk project was programmed through Council Sidewalk and has been in design since 2021. We now have approval for funding through Council Sidewalk and also through Community Development Block Grant for $140,000. The sidewalk the project will construct sidewalk on the west side of Adams Street from Kirkwood to Fountain. The existing right-of-way along that road is not sufficient to construct the sidewalk, so we need to purchase right-of-way from 7 parcels. Those 7 parcels are detailed in Appendix A of the packet. Ask the board to support this resolution so we can proceed with the project.
Board member Jennifer Lloyd asked about the size of the property being purchased. Durkis responded.
It's mostly slivers, so the road and the right-of-way are not exactly parallel, so it changes slightly as you go down the road. It's in some areas 2 feet and in other areas up to 3 feet along the length of their property. The temporary right-of-way is more extensive for grading or for driveway reconstruction, but that is only temporary and reverts back to the property owner at the end of the project. And then because we're moving the right-of-way closer to the buildings, this right-of-way process is costly because there's a consideration of damages as you get closer to someone's front door. It moves them out of, they would be a legal non-conforming building with the movement of the right-of-way, but it would prevent them from future expansion, at least towards that right-of-way. So there'd be damages with that.
The board voted to approve the resolution unanimously. And we'll have more from CATSweek right after this.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. During the February 25th meeting of the Monroe County Community School Corporation School Board, an MCCSC teacher, Pafoa Yang Smith, spoke in support of a proposed racial equity policy during public comment.
Hello, my name is Pafoa Yang Smith, and I am a teacher here in MCCSC. I am here today to speak up about the racial equity policy. This policy was brought to us by students of MCCSC. They saw a need for this policy based on the experiences that they had here in our corporation. So as an educator, I believe that this policy is important in providing support for our marginalized students here in MCCSC. Our job is to support all of our students to the best of our abilities, and this racial equity policy is a step that we can take towards that. As a teacher here in MCCSC, I have had students come up to me and tell me that someone has called them the N-word, or someone has made fun of them for the color of their skin or that the way that they speak. The things that these students are experiencing should not be tolerated in MCCSC, and this policy officially takes a stand against discrimination. It also provides me and other educators a guide of what we can do to support our students when they experience discrimination. If this policy is implemented in MCCSC, it will help all educators, administration, and staff to more effectively and confidently support our marginalized students. I urge our school board to implement this policy so we can show our students that we are there for them and that MCCSC is a place where everyone belongs. Thank you for your time.
Local resident Ruth Ide also spoke in favor of the racial equity policy.
Hi, my name is Ruth Ide. I am here to speak in support of Board Policy 5518 and to thank all of those who have worked so diligently to develop the policy that will be voted on tonight. Through the NAACP, I heard from students who were speaking up against the racism they experience in our schools. The actions of these students challenged me, and I think many in our community, to publicly face these longstanding issues that are so familiar to many, but as we have heard, are often overlooked or discounted by people who look like me. The student voices led me to find out about the new Student Equity Ambassador Program and to learn about MCCSC's equity and diversity goals. The comments at recent board meetings gave me the opportunity to hear from others who have also experienced racism and who are dedicated to making things better. I believe it is important for our broader community to also be educated about these issues so that we can actively support the efforts to bring about change. The approach is taken to create the initial draft of Policy 5518, the delay in its adoption to allow time for suggested revisions, and other efforts to reduce disparities show a commitment by the current MCCSC administration and board to face and address these long-standing racial issues in a new way. I am hopeful that the updated anti-racism policy will ensure sustained progress, even if the current administration and board collectively wins the lottery and retires early. I believe the reporting requirements in the revised policy bring a level of transparency and communication that will allow me and others to remain informed and to actively support these crucial efforts to provide a racially safe environment in our schools. I am confident and thankful that young people will continue to challenge all of us to be better listeners and to learn new ways of working so that we can face these issues together. Please approve Board Policy 5518, and thank you for the work you do.
President of the Monroe County branch of the NAACP, Maquiba Reese, supported the policy proposal, saying that it's an important anti-racist initiative.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Maquiba Reese, the NAACP Monroe County Branch President. As stated as our national website, our mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. Thank you for the opportunity to infuse a community perspective on Policy 5518. The Monroe County Branch NAACP School Subcommittee is grateful to play a role as co-creators in the work you and your esteemed colleagues have done and continue to work countless hours between your regular duties. We value student engagement. Dr. Winston, thank you for your leadership and greatly appreciate all the things that you've done, champion thought activist leaders to support and cultivate a space for them to express their concerns. We appreciate the adoption of recommendation and agree to the guidance shared by your legal team. A vote of yes to this policy 5518 anti-racism is important as we to have a critical lens as it relates to anti-racism while viewing various policies. This policy is a robust commitment that anti-racism should be thoughtfully considered in every action. The NAACP seeks to continue to work collaboratively to champion engagement within our community. My call to action: what we do next determines how long this policy lasts and does not fracture. I'll say that one more time. My call to action: what we do next determines how long this policy lasts and does not fracture. Yours in a fight of justice. Thank you.
Superintendent Dr. Jeff Hauswald offered some background on the policy proposal to the members of the school board.
Next is the second and final reading of Policy 5518, anti-racism. At the January meeting, the board voted to suspend a final vote on Policy 5518 after receiving a request from the Monroe County branch of the NAACP for an additional review. We received additional revisions, and a final review has been completed on Policy 5518.
The racial equity policy passed unanimously. And that's all for CATSweek. Thanks for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Martin O'Neill.